Well, happy Thursday morning, SMITE fans, and welcome back to the SMITE Challenger Circuit. We had a couple of weeks of the play-ins to see what teams are going to make it, and we finally get to reveal all of those rosters to you and more. We get to see all the cool new logos that are going to be with these teams, all the great new team names. If you haven't already checked out the blog post, make sure that you do so, or you can just go ahead and watch the SCC today, tomorrow, and Saturday to see all of those teams, all of the new team names, all the new team logos, and everything cool we have to offer you here in the SMITE Challenger Circuit. We're going to be starting off in the European region today, but it's not just me here. I got Charlie Relly standing by to help me out here as we talk about our first two teams up on the docket. It's going to be the AARU Scorpions and the GILDED Gladiators to start out our event.
Yep, we got the AARU Scorpions versus the GILDED Gladiators, previously Zenazine, Zidane, and Just F6, but now that they have qualified into the SMITE Challenger Circuit, we're going to see these new rosters come to be. Well, not new rosters themselves, but they now have this new level of competition, per se, in the SMITE Challenger Circuit, obviously, so going to be a pretty exciting match.
Yeah, we went through our 2 weeks of qualifications. That got our 6 teams for both of these regions, and now we're going to take a look at the schedule to kind of show you guys what you can expect for this weekend for these teams that are going to be playing up against each other. Like we said, to start out our day today, it's going to be the AARU Scorpions up against the GILDED Gladiators. We'll have the Styx Ferrymen, the Niflheim Wargs, and then the Highland Ravens and Hex Mambo will be another matchup that we have going later on during the week, at the very least, here for the EU SCC. That one will take part tomorrow, actually, on April 1st. It's April 1st tomorrow. It just hit me that we are a day away from April, Trelly.
Yeah, I mean, time flies when the SPL comes back, you know? You just finally get going into the groove, and look at these logos, man. These are so nice.
These are sick. These logos are honestly really sick. I mean, even just going with the two that we're going to be talking about first here with the AARU Scorpions and the GILDED Gladiators, like you said earlier on, this is the former Zenadine Zidane roster on the side of AARU Scorpions, and GILDED Gladiators were the roster formerly known as Just F6. Just F6 been around the scene for a little bit of time as far as the SEC was concerned. AARU Scorpions, though, here, this is a team that's a little bit newer, at least to the upper level of the EU SCC out of here. They were able to make it through, if I'm not mistaken, on that second to last run for themselves whenever
Hey, listen up, I've tried to tell you this 100 times. Not getting better by lying there pretending.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Apologies for any of the issues you may have seen there before, but we are back here with the SMITE Challenger Circuit, still kicking around in the EU with the AARU Scorpions and the Gilded Gladiators to be our first matchup of the day. And we were just talking a little bit about these two rosters. You know, the AARU Scorpions a little bit newer to the SCC scene at the very least here, but for the Gilded Gladiators, a team that has been around for a very long time, whether it be through the SOC or last year in the SCC. As we said, you know, the AARU Scorpions is the former Zinedine Zidane roster that we did see during the qualifier stage, and then Just F6 will be making up what is now known as the Gilded Gladiators team here. Ugly One, French Emperor, Pikarunu Calvin, and I Davey on the side of the AARU Scorpions. Gilded Gladiators, Listemics, Maskill, Isotos, Rotwin, and Toddy to round out those rosters here. And talking a little bit about, you know, these two teams specifically, talking a little bit about the AARU Scorpions here, Trelly, you know, before we, you know, jump into the match and everything like that. It's a team that came in and we were kind of on the fence about them. You know, they have some recognizable names, you know, between Pikarunu and Calvin, but the ones that really stood out to me on this AARU Scorpions roster was French Emperor and Skills when he was subbing in for this team.
Yeah, the jungle for the AARU Scorpions obviously was a standout player. I have to agree with you there. It was just being able to command the map, a little bit of early pressure, those sort of things. I think right now, though, with the meta is sort of shifting right now into something that we didn't quite see in the SCC qualifiers. Now we had a little bit of pro play as well. I think we're probably starting to see a little bit different in the jungle, these sort of warrior jungles that we've seen a lot in the early game, that sort of thing. So we'll have to see if they're able to adapt to this newfound sort of pressure meta that they've been trying out in the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, a lot about the Scorpions roster has been playing off the back of French Emperor. I mean, his Nemesis play was something that was like so heavily coveted for his team, enough to where it was really warranting bans. Over on the opposite side of the map there for Skills, he was able to find these really strong 1v1 hunters between the Sternos, the Medusas, Izanamis, things like this. He was able to really control that left side of the map. And then going up against this opposition here, the Gilded Gladiators, though, like we said, I mean, this is a team that's been around the scene for quite some time. I believe the coach even said it's been upwards of almost 2 years that the brunt of this core has stuck together itself. The most recent addition to this team, though, being Maskill over in the jungle. And ever since Maskill did join this roster of the Gilded Gladiators, it's been nothing but improvement across the board for them.
Yeah, Maskill, again, another one of those junglers that likes to find those early ganks, could just get his team ahead early, which is just such a huge benefit right now with the addition of the Obelisk and things like that. So a jungler that can get active early and put your lanes ahead is going to put you in a great spot to win the late game.
And now that we have seen some of that pro play, and now that we're running along on some of the new fun here, let's see what happens in the picks and bans for game number 1 between the AARU Scorpions and the Gilded Gladiators, our first official SCC match in the European region here in the official kickoff of their season. Our Scorpions will have the first pick. And one of the things that we've been seeing a lot of, we saw it during the SCC qualifiers, we saw it a lot more, though, during the SPL kickoff tournament, was this cleanup prioritization. I mean, the pros were really throwing a lot more of these assassin solos time and time again throughout the weekend, and cleanup really became one of those that rose up the ranks into being one of those first ban gods.
Yeah, I was wondering if we were going to see these sort of solo-focused bans, and of course the Jormungandr does come through, which, you know, has seen a lot of play recently, kind of fell off the map a little bit, and then up until this past like month or two, everyone's been saying, hey, is Jorm good again? And I think it's just because the Guardian solo meta specifically right now, that there's a pretty solid build path to go right now with Vamp Shroud, you have the Legion Helm, the Voidstone, that sort of thing. So the Guardian solos are going to be heavily prioritized right now, and I can see that coming out of the Jorm ban right away.
And it's really strange because, like, they're not building Jorm like any other Guardian out there. Like, we're not seeing the Celestial Legion Helm rush into these Voidstones and these really, like, hybrid or tanky items. People are just building Jormungandr like a mage. I mean, we're seeing, like, Spear of Desolation rushes, Divine Ruins, Chronos Pendants all over the board, but will not make it through here along with the Agni and the Thoth. That will be the first 3 bans on the side of the Gladiators. Meanwhile, the Scorpions will take away Khepri, Osiris, and Bellona and pick themselves up some very early dual lane pressure. Medusa, the first god locked in for the AARU Scorpions.
Yeah, we don't have skills anymore. Like I said, this is now Idavian on the ADC role, and I guess everyone pretty much has to have a Medusa right now. We had Bear in the studio yesterday doing a tier list, and he immediately put her in S tier for a reason. Medusa just brings so much early pressure as well as late game hard carry potential. So just trying to make sure you get that early dual lane pressure is going to be pretty, pretty highly coveted. So Medusa first pick makes a lot of sense to me. Obviously, the Amaterasu, very high auto damage warrior out of the solo lane, as well as
The veil opens!
Hello everybody, and welcome back. Apologies once again for the technical delays. We are jumping right back into the picks and bans for game number 1 between the AARU Scorpions and the Gilded Gladiators. Our first bans, as you can already see down there. And I believe we came in right around talking about the soul pick that the Gladiators had drafted for themselves right here. And one thing I was going to go on with is that Sotos in particular really loves this god. He's able to make it work in the mid lane, even with all the changes that's happened to this god in the itemization. This guy got like a early double kill like a minute and a half in one of his games, and ever since then, teams have just not let him have the ability to play this god here. But in response, the AARU Scorpions do draft up Bastet and Kleena, so we know that one of these gods is going to be going to the solo lane. Which one? I have absolutely no idea now because they are both prevalent solo laners. And on the other side here, Gilded Gladiators will pick themselves up a Fenrir as a third pick.
Yeah, looking at the AARU Scorpions early.
The bitter waves of Niflheim!
People are really contesting the Bastet right now. The Kleena is I was going to say sleeper OP, but it's not even sleeper OP anymore. Everyone wants a Kleena, or at least someone who knows how to play Kleena. And then Medusa, like I said, pretty much just one of the earliest hard carry ADCs in the lane that can also do really well late game, obviously. So pretty solid top 3 for the AARU Scorpions. On the flip side, though, this Heimdall we see prioritized very heavily in Europe specifically. It's a very safe pick. Gives a lot of targeted aggression once you get that Crusher Aussie build online. So a nice answer back to the Medusa, which is going to give a lot of pressure as is.
Yeah, it really does seem to be the European region more than anybody else that just loves this Heimdall pick. It is one of the top hunter picks for this region in particular, obviously behind the top meta ones like the Medusa at this point here. And then a Ganesh to finish out the Gladiators roster. Meanwhile, Baba Yaga and Fenrir on the other side for the Scorpions. Baba Yaga has been seeing a lot of rise in popularity as kind of this like 4th, 5th pick mage when it comes out there. You know, when you take out the Tiamats, the Thoughts, the Agnis, things like that, we've been seeing like Merlin and Baba Yaga kind of be those two that are popping back up here. And then obviously alongside with that, the Gilgamesh and the Kabrakan, we see those bans get taken away, thinking that Fenrir may have been going to support, but instead that Fenrir was actually going over into the jungle role. So Ganesh being locked in here means we get a nice wholesale look here at the Gladiators combo. And with the changes that Fenrir has recently seen, the adjustments to his ultimate specifically, you get less time in it, you get less protections in it. Now going back into the jungle, how do you feel about jungle Fenrir in comparison?
It's just a little difficult to get the full Brutalize off, which is mostly the brunt of his damage. Obviously, in the support role, people like using it as this sort of initiation into the Ragnarok. Pick up a tank, pick up someone without beats, lots of setup in that regard. But now, like, as you said, with the Fenrir changes, he does a lot. He has a lot of damage potential, but just you have to be careful using that Brutalize, obviously. I think that, you know, there's going to be some growing pains trying to get used to this new style of Fenrir, but if you've been playing him in jungle already, you should be fine in that regard. So I do like the roster here. I do think that Fenrir is going to have to get ahead early because late game Fenrir obviously isn't going to have a great time.
Yeah. Well, we are ready to go into our very first game of the EU SCC here in Season 9, the AARU Scorpions versus the Gilded Gladiators to kick off the European SMITE Challenger circuit. And now we get to look to see where those two assassins are going on the side of the Scorpions. It will be the Bastet jungle out of French Emperor. Meanwhile, Sager is actually going to be the one taking this Kleena over into the solo lane. So it seems like a little bit of a sub coming in here on the side of the AARU Scorpions, a different look towards their solo lane. It's J-Mac, Charlie, and Doug here in game number 1. And now that we do have, you know, we see the Bastet and we have the Kleena, is this more along where you would expect these two to kind of go and to kind of fall in line on this draft?
Yeah, I definitely think the Kleena solo is a little bit better. Just having that ult to be able to just, you know, clear the wave pretty freely is always going to be a solid pick. But I think the builds is what I'm a little confused about. Going for that Mace start instead of a Soul Eater start, which is usually what we see on those Kleena solos. So maybe just a full power, because, you know, people have been building Bastet in the solo lane full power, maybe trying out something in that regard. But I just think Soul Eater Leader works so well in our kit.
Yeah, I mean, Soul Eater seems to have been the more popular item for some of these solo lane, bruiser-style gods, whether it be the assassins going tankier or the warriors going a little bit more damage-oriented. I think you're right to kind of point that Soul Eater has been the go-to there. But typically when we have seen these, more damage-style assassin solos, it's usually kind of coupled with a much more bruiser-oriented jungle. So maybe that's something to take a look at. As this game goes on, is does this Bastet stick to full damage and only leave their tank, their support to be the true tank of the team, or maybe we see this clean a transition back over?
Yeah, it really just depends on what build path you want to go and where you want to find your pressure on the map. As we've seen, there is a Fenrir in the game, so Beads is going to be the relic of choice for Sega, so has to play extremely careful, no sort of CC immunity in there. So unless you're jumping into the wall to avoid Ragnarok, you're going to have to always be having that Beads timer ready.
We do have our initial start out here, and it will be a slight change-up as to what we would have kind of been seeing throughout time for some of these ones. In fact, the mid laner on the side of the AARU Scorpions is going all the way back to the back camps of his own, as the 2v2 over here in the dual lane was a frenzy popped on both sides. Advantage will go to the side of Gilded Gladiators. Just a little bit of extra poke, a little bit of extra burst damage thanks to help with Rotwind on that Ganesh, that Turn of Fate. Usually always ends up giving a little bit of extra early pressure to those teams.
Yeah, I'm really surprised because they did do the start. iDavy hit level 2 before even showing up to the wave because of the mid split there. And they weren't able to get the pressure. I guess the Frenzy Pop and the AoE autos of Toddy just was enough to make sure that they still got pressure despite having a level advantage there. I really thought that maybe Calvin and Davey were going to try to get aggressive with that level lead, but they are just going to let the pressure go, get their Harpies, and make sure they don't get too far behind in this lane, despite having a little bit of lead on their Medusa.
And talking about a lead right here, Pikarunu, level 3, hit it before Sodos went through, and after the red buff clear, that went through for the mid laner, Pikarunu actually went to the back camps before even going up to the mid wave, so got an extra camp of XP before the opposition. You can see it's coming back up now in half the time that the one on the opposite side of the map has been. But solo lane is all in control of this cleaner right now. Sager has been dominating up against the Amaterasu, but somewhat to be expected. Amaterasu never really known for her early game necessarily in that solo lane. Some damage onto Toddy, though, gets caught out, and Davey of the AARU Scorpions picks up the first blood to start this game off.
Yeah, that Medusa is going to have such early damage. Obviously, Heimdall not quite, doesn't have the clear really to try to contest with that amount of damage right now. This is why people are picking that Medusa pick, because of that early aggression. But I will say, the and the shield are able to just clear the way pretty effectively, but Kleena is going to win this early game pretty much all the time just because of that bluestone into the Crusher start. It looks like we have a little bit of an invade here.
Double assassin is good. French Emperor steals the blue, picks it up, mass kill, pops the beats early, and a little bit more damage is necessary. It'll be Sager picking that one up on the Kleena. Another pick for the AARU Scorpions, this time on the right side of the map, and on the belt of the solo laners, a blue buff invade, and a kill goes to the boys in blue.
Yeah, I gotta say, now that Sager has this lead, I would really like to see if this is going to be a Crusher or the Jotun's finish into the healing one, or it could also be a Brawler's Beat Stick because of how much healing this Amaterasu has. There's a few different paths. You can pretty much get value out of any of these mace trees besides like a Titan's Bane right now, so I'm curious to see where Sager goes with this lead. But also, J-Mac, we gotta say it, Sodos went Gilded on the Gilded Gladiators. I mean, I'm surprised we didn't bring that up yet.
Yeah.
we have to mention it. I'm happy you did it.
Yeah, sticking with a little bit of the team name there, though they didn't pick up any actual gladiators of their own. No Achilles that I can see at least across the board here. So losing 1 point to me, but I guess the Scorpions also didn't pick up Serket. So fool on me for that kind of nonsense here. But going back over here to the AARU Scorpions, mid laner Pikarunu does pick up something that we don't see very often, unless you're playing, at least specifically at Baba Yaga, going for a Warlock Staff Rush.
Yeah, the Baba Yaga, I think you have two options right now with Baba. Obviously, you go for the double flat pen build and just try to chunk early game. Or you say, hey, Baba's early clear isn't the best. Maybe I'm just going to go for the Warlocks, get some stacks with my passive, and just try to farm up as much HP and damage as possible. While Mass Kill going to be under a lot of fire, and there's no way he lives this.
He actually ends up biting straight into the Bastet ultimate, and then right after get picked up by it and brought to his own doom. 3 kills up for the AARU Scorpions to get this game going. Already over 1,000 gold in the lead for this team. And it's only getting worse. Lystemix has to use the ultimate defensively for that dazzling offensive. That way he can get back to the tier 1 tower. A lot of pressure by Sager in the dual lane. It will be a Jotun's Wrath, actually, out of both of these assassins on the side of the Scorpions.
Yeah, so it looks like Sager hopefully will be going for the healing Jotuns into a Soul Eater build. This is the sort of healing that Kleena can apply. Obviously, you could just be going for the Jotuns early, want some early damage. It looks like Maskill is going to rotate over, and now Sager's going to have some juking to do inside of this wall.
Or you can just throw out some damage. Why not? He's fighting back in the 2v1. Does have the dash to try and get some distance. Maskill, though, needs to be able to land that stun. But now that French Emperor has shown up, it's Maskill who's the one on the run. Sager under half health, though. Still sticking around here on this cleanup, but with this Bastet nearby, it's going to make sure they can get through. Petrify does slam Todd. He gets the beads out of the Hunter, him and Rotwin. Now both having to sit under that tier 1.
It's unfortunate Toddy did have to expend the beads there. I mean, you want to really just try to live through that and back up, but when you do get stunned by that Petrify, it's going to hurt. And obviously, I didn't think Toddy was the target there. I think they were going for Rotwin. Rotwin dashes away. You try to get the ult for the slow, and then you end up getting 2 birds with 1 stone there. So now you have the option to try to aggress onto this Heimdall later. Still has the ult available if he wants to try to escape that way, but the beads, that's a big win.
Sager level 7 on this Kleena so far. These invades have been proving very fruitful for the Order side team here. Sager's able to keep a nice lead in that solo lane. We still have that 1 level up by iDavy over in the duo lane. Still going with the more traditional Hunter start here of the Death's Toll into the tier 1 Mace Crusher. Most likely the pickup going to be for both of these Hunters. That has been the standard start for quite some time. I mean, it's one thing that we talked to Barracuda about yesterday where he's saying Hunter's builds haven't changed very much. Even in this patch, we haven't seen a whole lot of straying away from it just yet.
Yeah, wanting to see that Devos start come back again, but not quite. The Death's Toll into Crusher is just going to be so solid for both of these picks. Obviously, a lot of abilities to proc the Crusher. It's going to help out with your early clear. The damage into the attack speed, that sort of thing. Crusher, just a no-brainer right now for these sort of ADCs. Is Calvin going to posture up, trying to find a stun here, but without French Emperor stepping up with, I don't think there's going to be any sort of kill potential here. Just going to take those mids away and confirm for them the Obelisk. So the AARU Scorpions having a nice lead here.
Yeah, very quick and early Obelisk compared to what we had been seeing in previous weeks of competitive play. Sager up against 2 on this right side. Should be fine on this level 8 Kleena. And now working in towards that Soul Eater. Calvin leaps in up against Sodos. Sodos will have to use the Disapparate to get himself on out of there. Picarino does have that Warlock stab and already put 31 stacks. I looked at it, and as soon as my mind processed, oh, he's like at 24 stacks, he walks by his house and clears a wave, and ups to 31 only 7 minutes in. And this is why we've been seeing a lot of this Baba Yaga with this item, is that she stacks it faster than any other god is even physically capable of.
Yeah, Baba gets free stacks, obviously, with the passive, and just making sure that, at this point, like I said, the early game of Baba, not the greatest. So just trying to get your HP online, your damage online. Right now, Picarino is solid. As long as you're even and you're getting these Warlock stacks, you're fine. But he's got a kill right now, so Picarino is in a beautiful spot. As iDavy's going to get aggressed upon. Going to have the Ragnarok here. It's going to be close!
What? The 1-for-1 trade? There's no shot that Davy was able to make that one out there. Ragnarok was good. Petrify even better from Davy to get the damage out there. And this is why Medusa has been so popular. But talking about it in mid lane, no, it's Soto's going down. French Emperor strikes yet again, puts 5 up for the AARU Scorpions to start out. But man, what a 1-for-1 that Davy was able to pull out in the 2v1 earlier on.
Yeah, you can call it this is why Medusa is so popular. I'm calling it this is why Fenrir is not the greatest pick right now, because from behind, you're brutalizing a Medusa. You're eating every Viper shot. You're going to take so much damage there. This Medusa is able to output so much. Obviously, if you're brutalizing, you're going to hit every auto for free. So, mass kill 0-3 on this Fenrir right now. That early damage Fenrir is not online clearly, and it's just getting worse and worse. Mass kill is not going to have a good time late game with this start that he's had right now.
Out of curiosity, Doug, can we get a look at Davy's build path to see what he's leveling second after that acid spray? We've been seeing a little bit of a mix between Lacerate and the Viper Shot. Typically, Viper Shot, the more popular items for Davy. We'll walk into Rotwin. Mass Kill is also here. Knockup is good on to Davy. Doesn't have the beads to help them out this time around. Will try and get away, but Dharmic Pillars out of the support will make sure to take down this Hunter finally and really give Toddy a little bit of extra relief over on this left lane.
Yep, Davy didn't have the beads available. Obviously, had to eat the full brunt of that damage, and the leap into Dharmic Pillars was enough to finish that one off. Rotwin getting poked out here. I don't think Picarino has too much mana, but has enough for the home sweet home, and there's no way that Ganesh is able to escape this.
Not with French Emperor right around the corner. Good route. By mass kill means they get out. Ult by the French Emperor just a little off the mark. Went left when mass kill went right with that one, and now make sure that the jungler can at least get out for the Gilded Gladiators. But Rotwin going down, first death of the game now on the support, but 6th kill up for the AARU Scorpions.
Yeah, I've seen so many Bastet ults where it's I throw left, you go right, I throw right, you go left. These Huntress of Bass are very difficult to land, but you don't even need, it seems like you don't actually have to hit the ult consistently to be able to get the value out of this pick. Bastet just has so much damage and lockdown with the cat throw anyway, so you can kind of just, use your kit as is. But it looks like Maskill's going for another gank here. But Davey, he sniffed that one out and is able to dash away.
Yeah, Davey will be good around this time. Does have that Petrify to get away from any potential Ragnarok that would have been sniffed out there. But Davey on this Medusa, finishing towards second item right now. Typically has been the Aussie in that slot. And talking about flat pin at the mid laner, specifically Pikarinu, has opted towards a Divine Ruin as a first item. While not a whole lot of healing inside of the kits of the Gilded Gladiators, a little bit of self-sustain Alistemics, Mass Kill if he pops that Seething Howl, can get a little bit of lifesteal there. That seems to be the only major anti-heal that's going to be applied with this Divine Rune. It's just going to be the lifesteal that gets built up by these players.
Yeah, I just think the Soul right now is super annoying, and every time she pops her one gets a little bit of healing. Obviously, going Spear of the Magus into Typhon's Fang is going to have some double lifesteal. So Divine, just a smart pickup in general. Right now, with how good Flat Pen is, you really don't have to force it, even if the healing isn't that bit. But it looks like Toddy is going to take a lot of damage here. French Emperor has to hit this, and it's not going to land, but I think they have the damage anyways.
Should be able to dive under here. French Emperor taking up that tower. Toddy is holding them back, though. It's going to be a turnaround kill. Toddy on the dive at the tier 2 tower will turn this one around for the Gilded Gladiators. And now it's the Scorpions who are the ones that have to go on the retreat. And Trelly, throughout all this early game, it's been control the Scorpions. The gold lead has all been about the Scorpions here. It's only another, 500-600 gold that the Scorpions have now up over the Gilded Gladiators just off these couple of return kills that they've been able to find.
Yeah, and Lestemix was able to find a kill onto Sager during that all as well. The Frostbound Amaterasu with the Berserker Shield is going to be a menace for Kleena to try to escape. Obviously, you just have to dash away and hope that there's no chase potential. That time, got the beat. Going to be sitting pretty, a level lead in that solo lane. It looks like they're going to pull a Pyromancer here. They have the damage for it.
Yeah, they should be able to take this Pyro, especially with Sotos rotating over now. That objective should be as good as gone for the side of the Gilded Gladiators, and that one will go down. So first major objective will now tie this game right back up to a dead even state as far as gold is concerned. Levels across the board, barely any difference. You can see about a half level up for Calvin over Rotwin. Same thing with French Emperor there, but Maskill was able to close that lead right back up. Same into that mid lane here. So, Trelly, we're 12 minutes in now, essentially sitting completely dead even. And a lot of what we've seen in these last couple of fights has been that French Emperor hasn't been able to land these Huntress of Bass that could have secured or at least, got them closer to securing a kill.
Yeah, the Huntress of Bass definitely kills Toddy there. Obviously, no ult and the beads were not available, so that would have been a confirmation. Even the damage alone would have made sure that one goes down, but it's just a difficult ability to hit. You got to make sure you're reading that juke pattern right, trying your best. It's essentially a 50-50 in any regard, so unfortunate. But French Emperor, you'll get him next time, I'm sure. You got a few more chances here. You have a lot of CDR built with the Jotun's Wrath and the Transcendence, so just able to pump those out whenever you need to right now. But as you said, Gilded Gladiators climbing back here. They have the gold lead. The XP lead is looking pretty even, but obviously there's a big gap in the supports right now. Calvin is up 2 levels on the Robin. Besides that, pretty even across the board. You have a small lead in duo and in solo lane. But no one really wanting to pull this Gold Fury just yet. You have a Fafnir on the table, so that's going to be a lot of shred if they do want to try to commit to it. So you have to make sure your ward game's strong.
You got Fafnir, you got Kleena right there. Bastet's got good shred too, so won't take long for the Scorpions to take one of these objectives out. It's just a matter of finding a window to do so here because the Gladiators are making their mark across the map. Rotations across the board here. We already see 3 hanging around this mid lane. Toddy has been able to close up that disparity that he had earlier on against Davey thanks to the help of Maskill with those rotations and with being able to kill on French Emperor last time around. So now Toddy is the one with a lead over into the duo lane, making sure that at least one part of the map has some kind of advantage. Maybe an extra part here. Pikarinu does pop that ultimate to get away from the Ragnarok at a Maskill. Home sweet home we'll just throw some damage out against Rotwin, but Rotwin is not too concerned about the damage from this Baba Yaga.
Yeah, I think Picorino's happy with that trade at the very least. Didn't have to expend the beads on the Ragnarok, was able to time that CC immune for the bite. Gonna be fine in that regard, but Calvin is rotating over, trying to find Toddy here, and it looks like they have a good amount of damage, but that's the benefit of this Heimdall pick. That Bifrost can get you out of trouble really whenever you need, but the big win there, the Purification beads for Toddy does go down, and I wouldn't be surprised if they start to posture towards this dual lane once again.
One of the big safety nets of this Heimdall gone. That's a Gold Fury pull now. It's 4. Have grouped up on the side of the Scorpions. A Frenzy popped as well. Toddy is here. Used the ult up against French Emperor just to get away from the ultimate of his own. But Gold Fury is not giving up just yet. Gold Fury will go to the AARU Scorpions. Some big damage out of this clean throwing up against Sodos. And it seems that the remainder of the Scorpions are able to find their way out of here. But Lestemics can't chase out that kill. Davey will be able to get back to the safety of that tier 2 tower. In a very tight-knit race here between the Scorpions, especially around that Gold Fury, but they do manage to sneak it.
Yeah, I thought that rotation from Lestemics could have at least confirmed the kill on Davey with that Frostbound Hammer, but it looks like Davey is going to live to see another day. Happy to confirm that Gold Fury and just back up there. Looks like the Gilded Gladiators are going to get the Obelisk, though, trying to get some small wins here and there. They still do have that gold lead. Towers are going down as well, so they're trying to find farm where they can after losing that neutral objective. Me like Sager was going to build breastplate there, and I was like, how much cooldown do you really need on this cleanup? But opting to go for the Nemean this time around, so trying to absorb some of those auto attacks, trying to just get as much protection as possible against the physical side, because, you know, as a cleaner, you're not going to be that tanky, especially with your first 2 itemization here. You're going with the Jotuns and the Soul Eater, so a lot of healing and sustain, but not so much protection just yet. So you're looking at 60% CDR with the blue buff if that was a breastplate. So I was holding my breath waiting to see what Sager built there, but I'm glad to see it's going to be the Nemean.
For now, we'll just be that Nemean line. Our Scorpions, even despite getting that Gold Fury, though, are only still behind at this point. I was going to say they were only even, but no, they are actually still behind. 700 gold to the way of the Gilded Gladiators, 1,700 XP. But that objective does slow down the Gladiators at the very least. The Gladiators were able to pick up a kill during that one. French Emperor fell during the midst of that fight to still kind of even things out just a little bit, but our Scorpions still climbing back even after the fact they started this game with the lead. They end up losing it a little bit later on, and now are still just a little bit far behind here, though. French Emperor, even though French Emperor's been missing a lot of these ultimates, I've always got to give credit to those junglers who aren't afraid to just throw out that ultimate no matter what. Yo, I know that you might have beads. I know that you might have ult. I'm still going to throw this one in hopes that I get at least one of them out.
Yeah, I mean, what's the saying? I'd rather go 0-30 than 0-8, because if I went 0-30, it means, or if I went 0-8, it means I stopped shooting. So just keep sending out those ults. Maybe one of them will land. It really is just a guessing game there on whoever's going to be juking. But either way, look at Isoto's level 17 now. Was pretty behind in that mid lane. Picorino's 2-0. Stacking this Warlocks freely, stacking a Charon's going freely. Now the level lead is there. Toddy is pulling this tier 2 tower, but it looks like the Scorpions are going to sneak away that Pyromancer.
Yeah, Pyromancer goes to the AARU Scorpions, and a brief pause here as Toddy works on that tier 2 tower on that left-hand side. That'll be another 1,500 gold to line out the pockets of his team to counteract the 500 picked up there on the side of the Pyromancer. So still will come out at least ahead on the side of the Gilded Gladiators, and that's kind of been the name of their game for the longest time here, especially in the latter half of Season 8. This is a team that went from barely being able to keep up and farm even against some of the mid-pack teams to being able to, sure, we fall behind, but as far as our macro play is concerned, that's where we really start to see that shine. And that's where the Gilded Gladiators have put a lot of their focus on, being able to play around these objectives. If we don't get the objective, what is something we're able to get return here? And you're seeing that now with Toddy.
Yeah, you have to respect the amount of movement that like picks like this Bastet have. Obviously, the Heimdall can teleport in and out, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of just different, you know, moving pieces on the table. If you're going to lose this objective, get something over here, that sort of farm. Toddy did end up getting that tier 2 tower, and now we're seeing a huge fight over and right.
And goes down. Lestemics use the dazzling offensive. How do they get 2 on the ultimate? 1 stuns out Davey, but Punches the Pass will pick up Lestemics. Will barely be able to dash back out. Masskill managed to find Davey amongst all of it. It's still 4 standing strong on the side of the Scorpions, chasing out this Fenrir. French Emperor does get the kill, and Toddy has now rotated back over to this fight, but I'm not sure that Toddy wants to go in unless it's the return fire call. Tier 1 goes down, Lestemics back in, but it's just as soon as Listemic shows up to the party. They've got to get out one more time.
Yeah, it looks like Toddy not feeling confident enough to rotate in, but trying to just put some auto damage out. It looks like the AARU Scorpions are going to just retreat here. They got their tower. They were not able to get anything else, and the Fire Giant is still going to be safe for now. So heads up play by Toddy to make sure to rotate over, seeing that they won't be able to get anything else. Got the tier 2 tower at the very least, so still a net win for the Gilded Gladiators, but I'm sure they wanted to, make sure. Now they are going to just pull the Fire Giant. There's no way.
They're going for it here. Sodos and Toddy have a lot of damage. Picorino, though, is standing by. Rotwin rotating in, and now that Picorino and a couple of others have walked in the sight line, the Fire Giant will be leashed, but just some big damage throwing out. Picorino already starting to swing here on this Bobby Egg, and as you can see, sitting second on the damage charts for this mid lane mage. Gladiators tried to go for the sneaky pull, but luckily for the side of the Scorpions, a couple of good noses on their side, able to sniff out that Fire Giant.
Yeah, Telkine's ring on the soul. They do have a lot of objection shred there. They only had 3 or 4 on the Fire Giant, but they would have had enough unless, of course, the AARU Scorpions figured out it was happening and rotated over. But if they did leave them alone, would have died pretty quickly here. I think it's just going to be a farm game right now for the AARU Scorpions. They need to get their levels up. The XP is really starting to look pretty rough at the moment. You have a level 17 Medusa versus a level 19 Heim, level 17 Bao versus a level 19 Soul, so your carries specifically need to get those levels online because there's going to be a big power spike here to come. But the Oni Fury is up, and we have both teams sort of posturing by it, seeing, who will bite.
So far, it's a 4v3 in mid. The AARU Scorpions, the man advantage here. All ultimates online now for both of these teams. And one team fight could spell the difference between getting that Fire Giant or even just stripping some of these extra towers off the map. Only 3 left standing on the side of AARU Scorpions. Meanwhile, nearly all of them on the side of the Gilded Gladiators here. I mean, only that solo lane tier 1 tower went down during that entire last skirmish. So the Gilded Gladiators, most of their gold lead is just coming from that extra tower advantage that they have compared to the opposition. Still looking around this Fury. Gonna jump in by mass kill, but Oni Fury will not be pulled just yet.
Shred on this Fafnir, while the Gilded Gladiators finally are going to pull this, and it looks like they're just going to go for the 50-50 with the Supernova.
It's close. Segor is here, will throw out the damage, and that's going to force the leash. Dharmic Pillars dropped into the backline. A transformation out of Calvin. Rotwin has to dash down. The Supernova is creating enough space for Maskill to pick up Picorino and start the fight up, but Sager walked in a little bit too far, and it's a turnaround double kill now for Mass, but Davey picks up Toddy. Calvin grabs Sodos, but it's a triple kill for Maskill. Davey is falling low, and Maskill picks up the quadra kill. It's only one left. Calvin's got the double. Can he find it? Maskill starts off the SCC with a pentakill for the Gilded Gladiators.
That Fenrir just popped off in that fight. Finding the Brutalize on the home sweet home was the beautiful way to start that engage, just absolutely shredding Picorino. And then obviously we saw the auto attacks just cleaning up. That 2 pop by the Fenrir into the serrated edge, just so much damage. Pentakill for the Fenrir jungle. Just a beautiful play, and now the Oni Fury is going to get 1v1'd here. At least Listemics will have to show up and help because there's no way he can kill it by himself.
Maskill started this game 0-3, dying to Davey twice earlier on, then was able to pick up a couple of extra kills here and there, got an extra death thrown, and now has picked up 5 in one team fight, and the Gilded Gladiators have now swung this door wide open. It is a near 4,000 gold lead that they've been able to amass here. They grabbed that Oni Fury, and they can very well try and start up around this Fire Giant. But, Charlie, we're on day 1, game 1 of the SCC, and we've already got our first competitive penta for these guys out here. Not the first of the year, obviously. That one still holds the crown there for Nika over the Oni Warriors during the play-ins, but 2 pentakills in the first 2 months of competitive play.
You love to see it, and I will say, because I already called out that Maskill is going to have a rough time late game because of how easy it is to cancel Brutalize. Hold that thought because he's going to be getting aggressive. Once again, the penta's not enough, and it looks like he is just going to drop that Ragnarok and run away. But he made a great choice here to opt into this auto attack focus build. So don't hold that thought. Calvin's going into the dragon. They're going to pull this.
Transformation out of Calvin there. Fire Giant still going, but Calvin hasn't really used that coerce just yet. Actually ended up missing everybody except himself there. Maybe a little bit of a misplay and a mispull of this Fire Giant. Calvin leaps out, but Maskill leaps right back in. Petrify slams through Rodwin, but Listemics finds the first blood of the fight. Sodos takes down Davey, and Listemics now on the run as Sager is surrounded by 4 inside of this pillar at the Fire Giant. He will dash out to the one safe spot he had, but it's not safe enough because Maskill and the Gladiators are there to take him down But with Maskill going out, it starts the fight now, 3 for 1 on the side of the Gladiators.
Stemix has the Frostbound, able to cancel out that
no.
escape. Picorino has to use the Aegis. It's going to be close, but it looks like Baba lives another day. French Emperor is going to fall down, and they're trying to decide, can we go for the end? We have Oni minions. They're looking back and forth, but it looks like they are going to go for the smart play and go for this Fire Giant instead.
They will turn towards the Fire Giant. A little bit low are the health bars of the Gladiators. Sotos is going to say, you know what, guys? Y'all don't need me over here. Instead, goes to the tier 2 in mid and could even push up towards the Phoenix here. Left side, all those minions were pushing up that left side. Phoenix now, Fire Giant will go down to just the 2 of the Gilded Gladiators in the mid lane. Phoenix goes over to Sotos. Not quite yet. Not enough. Needed one more in hand. But good body blocks by Picorino save the Phoenix, if only for at least another moment. Fire Giant now on the way to 4 of the Gladiators.
Say that Maskill was going to have a rough time late game because getting behind as a Fenrir is always rough, especially if you go for that full damage ability style build. But if you go for the stone cutting into the serrated, pop that seething howl, you get so much power. The auto attack focus build, you're getting so much benefit out of Maskill. Great play to just sort of itemize into the more auto attack focused Fenrir. Able to get so many autos off, and that's the reason that pentakill was able to happen, obviously. The Brutalized didn't get canceled in that fight anyways, but I'm just saying, it was a great build, and it ended up working out because you could really get the benefit of those auto attacks specifically. I know it was a while ago, but I had to cover my bases here because I already said he was going to have a rough game late game.
Nah, I get what you're going with that, Charlie, for sure here. Maskill going for a more unique style of build. Stone cutting, not the more optimal choice that we normally think of. We're thinking of Fenrir. That's more towards like your Nemesis, maybe your Kali, your Mercury's, those more auto-centric ones here. But as you're highlighting, yeah, Maskill going for a more auto-style build. Now with a Mantle of Discord, so a little bit of extra defenses. Once he does fall under that threshold of health, can get a nice little CC immunity pop there, and a nice stun to the enemies. But the Gilded Gladiators now setting up. That mid lane Phoenix, very weak, and it's going to be tough for French Emperor and anybody on the side of Scorpions to defend up against it, and they won't even give it the option here. Lestemix and Maskill will just walk in and take the first bird immediately off the map, and they can now spread this to be a 5 versus 5 left if they want, or it seems that the Gladiators are fine going for this pincer maneuver. Calvin jumps in up against 3, but it's ohmed out instantly by Rotwin. It's a very slow burn on this side until the trigger is finally pulled. Dharmic Pillars goes through to try and get some damage out here. Lestemix goes into the back line, and we'll find Picorino with the help of Maskill. Lestemix will pick up the second kill of the fight. Calvin jumps onto 2, but those aren't the 2 that you want to fight into. Lestemix picks up a double. Toddy picks up 1. It's just French Emperor alive, and the Gilded Gladiators can walk right into the throne room, take down the Titan, and take game 1.
I'm surprised at how much they tried to defend that. It was really just Cal and Davey as French Emperor tries, and it is going to be the end kill there, obviously. But they just pushed up so far on that Phoenix. I don't think they really wanted that 5v5, but when, like you said, when they are getting pincered there, it was a 3-2 split. It's really difficult to try to stand up in that Phoenix room when people are rotating behind you.
And a lot of that started even after that fight at the Fire Giant, where 2 members of the team say, okay, or 3 members of the team say, all right, we're going to take the Fire Giant. Soda says, you guys don't need me. I trust that you've got the damage to do so. He pushes up tier 2 and almost takes that Phoenix, and that just allows for that setup there at the very end fight for the Gilded Gladiators to push in, take game number 1 over the AARU Scorpions. Again, after the fact that the Gladiators were the ones that were down to start that game. I mean, they were the ones who were 1,000+ gold behind to start this game out.
Yeah, it just seemed, as you highlighted on a little bit, that macro play, being able to get the farm where they needed to, keep at least even, not sort of letting from Maskill. That's gonna swing the game pretty heavily in your favor.
Yeah, nice little Pensa from Maskill, and a nice start here for the Gilded Gladiators in the EUSCC. We're gonna take it to a quick break, and then we'll come back to get ready for game number 2.
Came from a broken home. I've seen so many people go. Learn to make it on my own. It's easier for me to be alone. So how are you? Keep cutting through, claiming you're not like the other guys. And only if I could give you a chance, show me that you mean it, we'll feel some type of way. Why do you keep chasing clouds? Gonna live before I feel something. Before I go and change my mind. I said, why do you keep chasing clouds? Gonna live before I feel something. Before I go and change my mind. Something must be wrong with me. Keep wanting just to see you show up at my door. Et même quand je suis froide, un peu indifférent, tu continues tout de même de montrer tes efforts. I'm trying to keep my heart in peace. I just can't think but the way that I feel. It's too hard to trust. I mess it up. I just can't risk to be falling like this. Oh, why do you keep chasing clouds? Before I go and change my mind.
I'm sorry, my dear.
You think you've learned your lesson?
I guess I made a mistake. I'll remember.
I trusted you for too long. I trusted you, darling.
I guess I made a mistake. I'll remember.
I trusted you for too long.
I'm sorry, my dear.
You said you're cool and that it's alright, but you're hiding something that don't feel right. You know life is better when we just talk.
I'm bad at pretending, you know I'll be true. Sunday mornings and midnight lights turn into songs that you watch me write. Stole your sweater on that night. You took a picture, keep by my bedside. So you're mine when you're gone, baby, please don't be long. I got my ticket to the west side. You say my name with your accent, makes me remember how much night while it lasted. I thought that we were forever. I didn't know any better. Took a second chance, trusted you again. I feel shattered. Broken strings, cause you play me like a violin. Shame on me for all your 7 deadly sins. Had it all, but you craved attention. Drowning in your own reflection. Put me down just to see me get back up again. 6 feet under and you're ready to give all the pain. If I was your new addition, you make me.
Everybody, and welcome back. So sorry for the delays. We are ready to jump back into our first set of the day. Our second game of that first set will be right around the corner between the AARU Scorpions and the Gilded Gladiators. If you haven't been here up until this time, or you're waiting for this break to come back and you may have forgotten, Gilded Gladiators did get a win here in game number 1. A very slow start from them. Start off a little bit behind, and then a pentakill out of mass kill was able to turn this one around, and the Gilded Gladiators were able to run away with game number 1. It's J-Mac. I got Trelly here in game number 2 for the remainder of this set. At the very least, we got this one to go through here. Maybe even a game 3 because, I mean, like I said, the AARU Scorpions had control of the game to start this one out.
Yeah, they did have that early pressure, but as you said, the pentakill from massed kill, that's a mouthful of words, definitely turned the tides in their favor. That gold free went their way. Then they were able to get their pressure, go to the Fire Giant, and at that point, they had way too big of an XP lead. Obviously, Sotos was looking really solid. He was behind the Baba Yaga early, but that soul pick really came online, and everyone really had an XP lead after that pentakill, to be honest. It's pretty easy to get farm when there's no one else contesting the farm.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the thing, is going up until like this 14, 15-minute time frame, just about everybody was somewhat behind on the side of the Gilded Gladiators, and then that fight around the Gold Fury, just a couple of good team fights around this mid lane was allowing the Gilded Gladiators to bring themselves back in this one, close up those goalies, and even kind of flip them on their heads. I mean, Davey had the lead the entire early game on this Medusa, and then a couple of, even though these deaths came by the way of mass kill up in that lane, he was able to get some pressure there for Toddy, for Toddy there. And then Toddy and Sotos were able to turn around and get leads of their own.
Yeah, and then here was this auto attack build that Masskill opted to go for, really shining here. Just the jumps into the shred. As long as you're popping that 2, you're getting crazy auto attack damage as well as healing. And full HP at the end of a pentakill. That's pretty much the dream, right? That is exactly what you want to see.
Okay, I didn't realize just how hard he was hitting. He hit for 272 on the carry there with that all. Yeah, this build out of Masskill, maybe unconventional to say the very least of it, but he really made it shine here in this first game once it finally had come online here. And in closing out in this one final team fight, I mean, you can see just how much damage he's doing even to some of these frontliners out here. Great performance out of the Gilded Gladiators in game number 1, though maybe to clean up the early game a little bit, and that's kind of where they were struggling out here. But then again, a lot of their composition, their draft really kind of geared towards being able to be more of this late game team comp.
Yeah, I mean, besides the Fenrir that I touched on a little bit, that you really should be finding those picks early and looking for the damage early. It came online hard late game, as you said. The Soul, a pick that can flourish in the early game because of her heat and how our autos works, but the late game potential of the Soul is just going to be able to do so much here. You can see those end game stats. Again, Masskill, the 10-5 Fenrir did start out 0-3, just to be clear.
Yeah, 0-3 was the beginning portion for this Fenrir, and then late game really turned on the Jets alongside the rest of the team. Toddy 4-2, Sotos 3-2 on the Soul. And we were kind of questioning the picks and bans initially, like, man, the Soul not really prioritized. Nobody's really looking at this god that much anymore compared to where she was kind of tail end of Season 8, but Sotos gives us a nice little reminder here with 18,500 player damage, top of the charts, just why he really loves this pick and just why this team is so willing to pick up this pick for him even this early in a draft.
Yeah, it's just so versatile. I mean, you get the objective shred, you have crazy auto attack damage. You also can build hybrid and go for a little bit of burst damage. Supernova into Stellar Burst, the patented bear combo, if you will, is able to do a ton of damage. So she can just bring a lot to the table. A little slow early start, but that's not going to stop you because once that Telekine's ring got online, we were seeing the amount of damage that this Soul pick can really bring out.
Wait, is the Barrow the one where it's the Supernova into Stellar
No,
Burst, or is it Stellar Burst into Supernova?
Into Supernova.
Okay.
2-4.
The 2 into the 4. Okay, so that's the patented Barrow one. The other one is not the one that you want to be going for here. Maybe we potentially even see a Soul Band come out here in game number 2. I mean, Sotos, again, while the early game wasn't as impressive out of him, the late game is really where those damage numbers turn on once you get this build going through. So let's see what happens here in picks and bans for game number 2 between the AARU Scorpions and the Gilded Gladiators. Will jump themselves right in. AARU Scorpions again electing to take that first pick slot. Last time around, it was geared more towards taking out these frontliners, the Khepri, the Osiris, were a couple of those bands that the Scorpions had thrown out.
Yeah, and they did want to first pick that Medusa, which did find some early success in that lane, so I don't think that's one of those picks they want to shy away from. I don't think that was the reason they lost by any stretch, so still could be looking to prioritize that duo lane pressure, of course, but looks like we're seeing a good bit of those auto attack warriors being taken away from the AARU Scorpions, and then Bellona and the Osiris. Pretty run-of-the-mill stuff here, nothing out of the ordinary. The Jormungandr, once again, going to be banned away. Just a strong pick right now in the solo lane. Specifically in EU, a lot of teams are sort of understanding it, but as you touched on, don't really build it the traditional way. They go for more of a damage-oriented Jorm build because in the World Serpent, you can't really take any damage. So as much as you're doing, you know, you don't have that fear of dying in that ability, so...
One adjustment here out of the Scorpions, to say the least, though, is going to be an Amaterasu ban, so they're not going to allow Listemics to run Supreme on that god yet again. But Gladiators, they don't have to make any changes to their bans if they don't want to. So far, they have not. Jormungandr, Agni. But this time, it's going to be the Gladiators banning the Khepri away, so not wanting to give that one over to the Scorpions as a first pick. But that does leave open the Medusa. I was just going to say that if the Scorpions wanted to go to it, and they do so here, they're going to give that one right back over to Davey in that duo lane.
Yeah, it seemed like the Gladiators knew what they were doing with their picks and bans here. I mean, the Medusa was first pick last time. They knew it was going to be getting first picked again. I think they're pretty comfortable right now giving it away at this point. I mean, Toddy did have a little bit of a rough showing early, but late game was able to come online as everyone on the Gladiators were there. So I think the Medusa is just something that they've elected to deal with at this point and say, hey, the Heim is still open. Obviously, you can't take that away, so we're going to be able to pick that if we want to. And at the very least, we're going to have some safety. But prioritizing this Soul, this top damage carry from Sotos last game in the mid lane, not carry, but you know what I'm saying. Definitely a smart idea here. And running back the mass kill Fenrir now, with the slow start it had, you'd maybe think like they want to go for something different. But again, we all saw the highlights. We saw the pentakill. Just run it back at this point.
Yeah, and so far things that are going to be running back yet again is the entirety of the AARU Scorpions draft here. Kleena and Bastet alongside Medusa for the top 3 on the order side team here. Gilded Gladiators have one more pick before we go in through here. It can't be an Ama, so we can't have a full run back of this team because the Ama did get third banned on the side of the Scorpions. So now's the question of where do the Gladiators want to put that priority? It will be towards Cerberus. Now, we've seen a little bit of flexibility in this god as far as support or solo lane, but I got to imagine here that this one is probably going to be going over to the solo lane for Listemics.
It certainly could. The healing in and of itself is going to be really annoying for Kleena to deal with. We saw the build that the Kleena opted to go last game with the Soul Eater and the Jotun's Vigor, I believe, is the healing. So yeah, just a lot of just trying to sustain in that lane. Cerberus, a real sustain, shut down character right now, but still the flex potential is there. So can't put all your eggs in that basket. Start a tier 1 magic defense item and then you show up to lane. You're facing a physical character. I've done that a few times in the past. So just making sure to leave some of that mystery open right now as we are going into that second wave of bans. Obviously, the Heimdall is going to be taken away. So now we get at least 2 new picks. Of course, the Cerberus could be replacing that Ama that was banned away, and the Heimdall is going to be taken away. So it looks like Toddy's going to have to go do something different in that duo lane.
Morrigan and Tiamat are going to be the first 2 bans here out of the Gilded Gladiators. Meanwhile, other side, you touched on the Heimdall and a Horus. Going to be locked out here. So a little bit of target over here at Rodwin specifically. I mean, the Fafnir was a pick that he really liked on, and it was one that got taken away from him last game. The Khepri is often seen as one of his better gods out here, and even kind of throwing this Horus out here. I mean, there were players singing the praises of Rodwin's Horus whenever he was out here during the SPL qualifiers, the SCC qualifiers. A lot of people really hyping this one up. with the Khepri taken away too. I mean, now we're going to have to see these two players really kind of dig down. I'm honestly a little curious that we haven't seen such a priority towards Bacchus just yet, because that seemed to have been one of the big kind of hot picks that were coming out of some of these EU teams.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I don't think anything has happened to make Bacchus not, like not be that highly contested because of how highly contested Bacchus was, obviously, and nothing really changed. I would say the Frenzy meta is still very popular. That's still early pressure. Coupled with like a Medusa, that sort of thing is still very high right now, but opting to go with the Sobek, same sort of level 2 potential. The Pluck just creates so much, space control in that early game, that level 2 fight. So same sort of role there, and it looks like it is just going to be the Ganesh run back. Again, not too much pressure early, but the peel is always there. The Dharmic Pillars is a great engage and sort of a disruption tool at the very least. So I really liked what the Gladiators did with their draft here, making sure they got their core players, the Sotos, on that Soul once again. Maskill prioritizing those picks that looked so well, and then sort of just falling in everything into place afterwards.
Yeah, and then that Merlin going to be going to the mid lane now, so a slightly different look in the mid lane. We'll see how that looks here for the AARU Scorpions in game number 2 up against the Gilded Gladiators. A lot of similarities in both of these drafts, though, as far as things are concerned here. I mean, the same core 3 on these side lanes on the side of the AARU Scorpions. Sager going back on that cleanup, French Emperor on the Bastet, and Davey once again with the Medusa. The big difference that we see now is how more of that mid 2v2 and mid 3v3 kind of shake up, now throwing this Merlin and Sobek into the mix.
Yeah, Merlin, one of those characters that has a rough early game but can come online super hard late, sort of like the Baba Yaga, but no sort of Warlock Sash being built this time. He's opting to go for that double flat pen build that we've seen so much, that Merlin really does get a big use out of it because of how many abilities he has to proc those abilities, of course. But I have to say it again, because it happened again. Sotos did opt to go for the Gilded once again on the Gilded Warriors. So another point from that's 2 points total right now for the Gilded on the Gilded. I like that.
You give that one the seal of approval
Yep,
here to Sotos for that
100%,
mid lane.
yep.
We're living up to the name of his team here. A brief pause right here at the very start of the game, though, as we get ready to jump back into it, though. Really, kind of looking at this one, the core 3 on the side of the Gladiators has not really changed. You still have this Ganesh, you still have this Soul, and you still have Maskill on this Fenrir. Their side lanes are the ones that have changed. Meanwhile, on the other side, the Scorpions haven't changed their side lanes, and instead they've kind of shucken up their core 3v3 when it comes down to this fight. So we'll see how those change-ups affect these two teams as we jump ourselves right back into game. We do see the AARU Scorpions going for this new start that we were seeing a lot more out of the NA side of the bracket whenever we were doing the qualifier rounds, but it's now starting to bleed its way over here into EU, where you have your jungler and your solo kind of have this 2v2 to start things out.
Yeah, love this early 2v2 potential. There's going to be a lot of damage coming out of Fenrir right now. As long as French Emperor saves the pounce, though, they will be able to just sort of sustain in this lane and try to, stun each other out. But it looks like Zager's going to take a lot of damage here, and that could be enough.
First blood goes to Lysemics, and maybe another one. Good body blocks, but not enough. French Emperor leaps back in towards the minions, and that's going to set up for an easy double kill. Lysemics on the board, and the Gilded Gladiators strike hard and strike early.
This is the benefit of having this magical Guardian in the solo lane. You get Vamp Shroud, you get Tier 1 Legion Helm or Jadem, whichever one you want to call it, but you have so much physical protection early, as Picarino is going to take a little bit of damage here. Has the Flicker available, so just going to be getting out, unless Sotos has some crazy damage. I didn't think so. A little too far away. They're going to take a tower shot, but either way, Lysemics is just so tanky right now, has so much damage with the Ghastly Breath, so you really have to watch out and make sure you're saving any sort of CC you have. I believe the Sager already used Silence, so there was no sort of Brutalize or Ghastly Breath being stunned out there, and then you're just eating the full brunt of that damage early. So 2 kills for the solo laner of the Gilded Gladiators.
It's got to feel good for Lysemics. Already has a Tier 2 helmet online now, just off that first blood, being able to back and not even have to waste the teleport to come back in either. Lysemics just got to go back to base and walked himself right back up into lane, so still saving on to that relic there. So it is a teleport in solo versus the beads across the board here. Sotos makes it back into that Tier 1 tower. Cat a little bit early there.
But it looks like Davey made the rotation over to mid. I guess they had so much pressure in duo that they were like, hey, maybe we can just go for a pick. Maybe I can help with an acid spray here. But the AARU Scorpions are looking for some pressure in this mid lane specifically. They see that their solo is behind, and they're looking at the mid because Picarino also got a little bit of pressure there. But it looks like they might be going for the return invade as Maskill rotates over.
I thought Sotos had that one. I thought the auto was going to be there, but Maskill should have the cleanup. A Brutalize in is just off the mark. Picarino goes down. It is Sotos with an auto attack a little bit later to grab that one out. A third kill up for the Gladiators. Beads a little bit late by Sotos. A dash in by Davey, but it doesn't find the target. And the Supernova is shredding through this Medusa. Mass kill picks up the kill and puts a fourth one up for the Gladiators.
I'm honestly surprised that Calvin even went for that pluck. Once you see Sotos tick over to level 5, I mean, that fight's got to be lost, right? You see Supernova, the biggest burst ability on the map right now, just ticks over. No one else has an ultimate available. Obviously, Merlin had just back, so Picorino couldn't help with any sort of DPS. So, unfortunate. Plucking a soul with ult into your carry. It looks like Davey was on board with the play, though, because tried to dash it and confirm all sort of damage. But now you got an even bigger lead to deal with. Not only does Mass kill, your jungler have a kill, your mid laner, Sotos has a kill, and Lestemic still has that 2-0 lead. So the Gilded Gladiators are building up this lead, and they're gonna keep looking for the aggression.
Yeah, and where all the action was in dual lane last game, it's been everywhere. But this time around, Solo Lane some damage up against Lestemic. He'll be poked down to about half, but should be just fine. Instead, we'll now like to go back to base. Imagine enough gold in pocket to be able to pick up one of those tier 3 helmets. We'll see which one they go for. It will be the Celestial Legion helm. I was thinking maybe Jade Emperor's Crown. We did see a big buff come to that item through extra power reduction on the scaling from that passive through a lot of HP as well. I mean, that's like 350 health on that item now.
Yeah, I do like the Jade Emp when you're specifically against these tankier characters, these tankier warriors that aren't going to build too much power. I think it pretty much just shuts them down to base damage. But given Sager's style of build here, the Jotuns into the Soul Eater, I think you're going to get a little bit less value because of how much damage he's building anyways. I guess you could argue you're getting more value there as well, but I think specifically against this cleaner build, I think that the Legion helm is going to help you out a little bit more, just giving you some more damage there in that regard. So when you have a 2-0 lead, sometimes you just want to get as much power online and just try to snowball. So I like the Legion helm on the 2-0 Cerberus for sure.
You know what we haven't seen in a while? I mean, we saw Lotus Crown become real popular with supports during like the healer meta. We're seeing the Legion helm and the Jade Emperors become popular again. We haven't seen Tyrannical Plate helm in such a long time.
Yeah, it did have a spot in the meta, I believe, when the item first came out. People were like, yeah, we can build it in the solo lane, and then it has sort of fallen off here. I guess the minion buff itself has just not really seen the use of it anymore. But yeah, we did see it for a bit. But I think just right now, the Legion Helm Voidstone combo is just too lethal. It just gives you too much prots and damage right now as a tanky Guardian.
Yeah, those bruiser stats coming in have been so potent for these solo laners. That's why we're seeing so many assassin solos. I mean, for a moment during qualifiers for both SPL, SCC, even during the Pro League kickoff that we had last week, a lot of assassin solos were kind of popping up. We saw the Bastet temporarily, and I thought to myself, okay, maybe this is going to be the only one that we see here, but. Talking with some of these pros, it really does feel like Assassin meta is just going to be sticking around for a while into the solo lane. Rotwin will go for a couple of steals on those offerings. Now only one away for the Gilded Gladiators. An ultimate down by Calvin up against Rotwin. Rotwin's low, drops it on McPillars. French Emperor jumps in and has to jump right back out, but a good ultimate by French Emperor will pull Rotwin back in, but Rotwin, not enough damage just yet. French Emperor's needed to take them down, but Masskill and Sotos have now shown up big to return the favor. A 1-for-1 fight. Going towards the AARU Scorpions. Davey is here. Davey's not going to make their mark in this fight.
Just so much displacement, man. I mean, the Huntress of Bass finally landing out of French Emperor, getting just so much CC as Sotos is able to do so much damage to Picorino. There's no way he thought he was going to get burst down like that. As a beautiful solo kill in the mid lane. Obviously, just watching your carry die is never fun, so Calvin just sitting that. But the pluck into the damage, just so much CC. Obviously, Rotwin's never going to live there. As Sager is going to have to hide in the wall here, but it looks like they might go for the dive, but not quite enough damage here.
Stemix will soak up the towers. That way Masskill can go in for the pickup here. Sager does get the flickering visions off and enough damage to return back. French Emperor has now shown up. A dash in by Sager, a leap out by Lestemics, and not enough damage to follow up. Sager is diving into the tower, does get the flickering visions hit, and it's the tower that finishes off the kill there. So no big trade out there, no big benefit for Lestemics or Masskill to get that turnaround.
That was such a dope stun, too, by Lestemics. I really thought that was going to be able to get him out there. Unfortunate, Masskill does fall, but it looks like the chase will ensue. Rotwin does not have the Dharmic Pillars up. Now they are up, so they will be able to chase this, but it looks like French Emperor lives another day. And now, pretty much, your big lead is still in that mid lane. Isoto's level 9, 3-0 on this Soul. Almost has that Typhon's Fang build. Once the Spear of the Magus Typhon's Fang comes online, Soul can pretty much kill anyone on the map.
Sotos has already just been killing whoever walks in front of him on the map at this point. 3-0 with the Soul, like you said. And this just goes back. I mean, when Sotos really kind of debuted this Soul back in the mid lane, it's not something that he was playing like every single week in SCC until somebody finally banned it. It was just a spur-of-the-moment thing. He's like, you know what? I'm going to play Soul mid today. And then he pops off a double kill in the early. We never got to see it again because every team was just like, yeah, no, we're not dealing with that. Maybe we see a reprise of that here in Season 9. Maskill puts another one up on the board as he takes down French Emperor off a speed buff invade. The question is, can Maskill make it out? Ultimate is still available. Will attempt to pick up Sager there, but Sager is going to be able to get away here. Drops both of the Veils. Systemics has shown up, and Sager has to get inside the wall. Will be able to do so just in time.
That was very close health threshold there. Sager obviously had to use the beads to survive the Ragnarok pull. I actually didn't even have him available. I don't even understand how he was able to juke that one out there. I think that it was just an early damage cancel from Maskill trying to get as much off as he could, but then he decided, you know what, we're going to back this one up here, and unfortunately, Systemics did not want to expend the Stygian Torment before he could get into the wall. It's sort of a 50-50 chance of, can I get this knock up before you're in the wall, and that time not want to go off is Picarino. It's a big burst of damage off, and is going to try to just get his wave.
Sotos, can they make it out of here? Calvin has shown up. Good ohm from Rodwin, but Supernova is very far back. Sotos going to go down off the transformation from Picarino, and that'll put a third one now up for the AARU Scorpions, and a big shutdown kill right when they need it up against the mid laner for the Gilded Gladiators. AARU Scorpions trying to close up some of this gold lead that the Gladiators have built up. Nearly 2,000 gold separating these two teams. And the AARU Scorpions are going to try and bring that gold just back down.
Yeah, Picarino got a big shutdown there. Now has about 2k gold in hand as Toddy is going to look for a little bit of aggression here. I think Davey isn't quite sure if Maskill's there, but anytime a Chiron is going to get aggressive in the lane, you could probably assume there's going to be someone at least, you know, poking their head around the corner here. There is going to be a lot of damage coming out from Toddy's build here. Obviously, the Crusher opting to be the starting of Transcendent instead of that Jotun start. So a lot of DPS. The Centaurus and the Masterful Shots are going to be really chunking. This is sort of the benefit of this Chiron build right now, is you can just poke people out from so far away, and then they never really can stay in lane and farm because they're too scared to stick up to the wave.
Maybe that is the best answer to dealing with the Medusa is, I just don't want to fight you, so I'm going to stay as far away as I can. So
I think so, yeah.
I don't want to, look, I'll put it this way. I don't want to walk up to a Medusa. I see a Medusa in lane, and I'm not, like a Cernanos or something like that, even with backup potentially. I'm not fighting that god. She's going to 100-0 me.
French Emperor gets his speed stolen away by Lostemic. He's having an unfortunate time. Last speed buff he got killed by a Maskill. This time he gets invaded away, but Maskill's going to have some juke shoes here as Calvin was posturing over looking for some sort of engage. Having to run away. Ragnarok is expended, so little win there for the AARU Scorpions.
I wouldn't want to put shoes on a Fenrir. Because anytime he Ragnaroks, he's just going to break them. There's no reason.
Yeah, it's like the Hulk. He just ruins his shirt every time he goes Hulk.
His shirt, his shorts, and maybe even more here for iDavy. Has to use that Petrify Sotos right out of the Saporite. Should go down here. The question is it going to be French Emperor or Calvin who gets the kill? It will be the support this time around for the AARU Scorpions to continue fighting back here against the Gilded Gladiators. 4-7 now on the board. AARU Scorpions are finally getting some fight back. The XP department has shored itself up at least a little bit here, but the gold is still in favor of the Gilded Gladiators to the tune of at least 2,000, and maybe closing it up a little bit here. Maskill's showing up, but with that scream through the wall out of Sager, Maskill should not be able to get into this Pyroman, so that one will go to the AARU Scorpions.
Yeah, I gotta give credit to Calvin here because that's 2 kills now on Ice Sotos. The 3-0 Sol just a minute ago, and neither time has Sotos beat. So either just incredible amount of surprise in these plucks, or Sotos is just like, you know what, I'm so caught out here, there's no reason for me to even expend my beads because I'm just gonna die anyways. So either way, Calvin is positioning pretty solidly if he's able to kill Sotos twice and still hold on to those beads.
Maskill goes for Sager, gets the beads out of the cleanup. The dash is not going to get him away, though, from the brutalized. Maskill finally turns this one back around for the Gilded Gladiators, puts himself up now 3-1-4 on the jungle Fenrir. And going for that very similar level of playstyle and build that he went for in game number 1, Jotun's Wrath, Stone-Cutting Sword, and into another Katana. If history repeats itself, that should be a serrated edge and another kill. This one, though, is for Lestemic's massive burst damage coming out of this the Cerberus.
Yeah, you gotta give props to Maskill here for just knowing his targets super well. Obviously, Sager has to go for the Genji's guard after the Jotuns because of you're facing a magical guardian in the lane. So Maskill just realizes you're a squishy target to me. You have no sort of damage. As Picarino, no mana left, stuck in the Dharmic Pillars, is definitely gonna fall here. Point being, there's just no sort of tank stats on Sager right now against a Fenrir, just built into the tier 2 breastplate. But either way, Maskill was able to just put off so much damage into that Kleena. Even with the beads on the Ragnarok, you're not going to be able to get into the wall there.
Yeah, Yeah, didn't even go for the sustain route that he went last time around. Does have at least the Jotun's Wrath out there, so that's going to get the nice at least 20% CDR, but didn't go for a Soul Eater this time like he did in game number 1, so Sager is going to be lacking some of that extra self-sustain that he had in game number 1. And Lestemic's off to a 3-0-3 start. Everybody except the dual lane really coming up with some big kill numbers at the very least here. 3 across the board aside from Sodos, who picked up a 4th one in the midst of that fight. Now puts 10 up for the Gladiators. Typhon's Fang is finished. And as Maskill hit level 12 and finally was able to go back to base, it is a blink picked up on the side of this Fenrir.
Yeah, but Toddy, despite not getting too active, already has the tower down and a 2-level lead. We just saw Davey tick over to level, I believe, 13. And yeah, Toddy just ticked over to 15. So massive lead here. I'd be surprised if anyone is even going to poke up to here, and it does not look like they will. So the 5-man rotation is going to confirm the first Cold Fury of the map, and Lestemix is going to teleport back over to make sure there's sort of no tier 1 tower going down and right. So Zager is not going to be able to get any sort of farm there, even though they all rotated.
No extra surprises up against the Gilded Gladiators. They push that gold lead as we start pushing themselves close to 5,000 in the lead. What was only 2K just a few moments ago. Those quick picks on the right side, 2 towers and a Fury have now bumped them up to 4,500 gold, 3,500 XP up. Gilded Gladiators, a much quicker start than we had in game number 1, have really come out sparks flying in game 2.
Yeah, it just seemed like they needed to get warm, maybe. Obviously, Maskill, again, I have to keep touching on this because it's incredible what you're able to do when you go down 0-3 on a Fenrir and then you somehow make, you build the right things, you find the right picks, come back into a pentakill. This time, no sort of slow start. Maskill has been pretty much all cylinders firing. Obviously, Soto's got the most of the brunt of the early kills, but Maskill has been pretty effective in this solo lane, specifically trying to put down Sager, make sure that Lestemix gets that crazy lead. Obviously, Lestemix started off with a double kill as well, so just getting very active and starting off, all firing, ready to go, because you don't want to start off slow against a team in a 1-0 situation. Just making sure they have that lead and just keep pushing it.
False Emperor getting some big damage up against Sotos, but that Disappery comes in. Perfect timing for Sotos to get away from Huntress of Bass, but now he's got to deal with the second assassin on the team, but he's doing just fine up against it. Auto attacks needs a few more to find them through. Use the Aegis to get away from the Veil. Sotos has not gone down yet. He's fighting right back in, and he'll find Sager thanks to the help of the rest of the Gladiators, but Maskill doesn't get that same luxury. They'll fall down to Picarino on the tail end of the fight.
Yeah, that was definitely a good amount of peel from Rotwin and also a hefty amount of healing from Isotos. Obviously, no form of anti-heal except for the Contagion picked up for Sager, so not enough to make sure that the healing was enough to survive that tick damage there. The Scream almost was enough. Unfortunate, the Shell was very clutch save by Rotwin, but it looks like Calvin is still going to be looking for Rotwin here. They have a nice 2v3, but Toddy and Rotwin are going to back off.
Dash for dash, but a Dharmic Pillar out of Rotwin. We'll make sure that this Ganesh gets to see another day here on this level 12 support. French Emperor just trying to get some farm over on this right side of the map and trying to fight back in. I mean, right now, French Emperor is not the one really sitting at a deficit. We were talking about the dual lane where Toddy has a 2-level lead up on Davey. Talk about solo lane here. 3-0-3 for Lestemix and a 3-level lead up over Sager on this. Kalina has not been able to get the level of farm that Sager maybe wished to have had here. And in this 2v1 situation, I'm not even sure that these assassins can really put a big threat on Cerberus.
No, I would root for Lestemix in this 2v1 for sure. They are hiding under the tier 2 tower for a reason, but look at this pull. Sager has already sniffed it out, but it looks like the Gilded Gladiators are going for a very early 16-minute FG call, but once they see everyone is onto this, I think they're just going to back off and look for a pick.
Calvin's all by himself. A pick up by the Ragnarok. Calvin should go down here. Supernova slamming through. The Sobek still somehow alive, but Sotos does managed to find the last swing up against Calvin. Now Sager surrounded by 3 and no wall to go back into. Maskill will leap in and just needs that Brutalize to close out the kill. French Emperor able to leap back to get back to safety here. Maskill just chasing down this Kalina, waiting for that last opportunity to strike in there. The Flickering Spirits to hold off a little while longer, but Maskill can chase that one out and put a 13th on the board for the Gladiators.
And now it looks like the Pyromancer is going to be pulled first, and no, they are not going to posture towards this Fire Giant. Petrify still available, this massive AoE stun into a slow, crazy damage steal tool that we have seen time and time again take away these objectives. Looks like they are not going to be trying to pull a Fire Giant with Medusa still on the map. They were a little low as well. They don't have that much team sustain besides the Poultice from Chiron, so I don't think they're going to be really trying to pull that there. Good bait, though. Bait into the Pyro, into the double pick, and now they just have their lead is climbing. The Primal Fury is spawning soon, but it still looks like they're posturing towards this Fire Giant.
Yeah, fire might just be the call, especially the fact that Sotos went back and bought a Telkine's Ring. Teleport in from Lestemix, and Calvin is here. He'll be the first one up to the fight. He'll be met with the lurking eyes of Listemics on this Cerberus, but Fire Giant is going down fast. Turnaround call up for Maskill to try and slow them out, but I'm not sure that Calvin or anybody can stop this Fire Giant. That one goes to the Gilded Gladiators, all 5 with that buff around their waist.
Yeah, Supernova still was the best confirmed tool on the map. Obviously, you have some Centaurus shots if you just want to poke people out from a distance. So pushing in to that fight specifically, probably not the best idea for the AARU Scorpions. I like what they are doing here, though, trying to find the farm where they can. They sent Davey back to duo lane maybe to get a tier 1 tower, but with the damage they have right now, the Gilded Gladiators are going to run down this Phoenix, and if they don't back, I don't think they can defend it either.
Sager gets caught out here by Listemics. This Kleina will have to back themselves up to the jungle, but maybe backing up isn't as far as they're able to go through. One Veil torn open, one Beads popped now by Kleina. No wall to be able to go into. Picarino is trying to get out of here. Will manages to find the flicker. Maskill using the Dharmic Pillars to dance around as much as possible, but Davey stuck up against the walls and cannot get back into the base. But French Emperor at least able to turn around, find one in the midst of the fight, but it's now Calvin stuck through. The door has been opened up by Picarino, and the support can make it back to safety.
You'd love to see Picarino coming around, trying to save his support there. Unfortunately, was not able to save Davey. They closed the door on him there, so couldn't get in. But beautiful turnaround fight. They were able to pick up mass kill, so one Fire Giant is off of the Gilded Gladiators. But the Huntress of Fast, this might be enough. Toddy does have the Aegis, though, so French Emperor hits a beautiful ult through the wall, but Toddy does live through that one. One more tier 2 tower stands, but they're looking at this Primal Fury.
And then after that, Phoenixes can be the next target, but likely with this Primal Fury, it'll give the Gilded Gladiators a lot of gold in hand to be able to go back. You can see 1,500 or more on just about every single player here. Maskill, the only one who didn't have the gold because he's already dead, got to spin that one while he watched the rest of his team take those objectives. And it is the same style of build out of Maskill this time, so once again, going for the Serrated into Mantle of Discord, so has his damage online, now has his defenses, and Listemics is going for that more bruiser route that you were talking about earlier. Voidstone picked up 3rd item.
Look at the 5-level lead out of the solo lane. This is insane. Kleina level 15 to Listemics is 20. 3 items for Kleina. I mean, Sager is just having a rough time in this lane, obviously. When you look over at your lane opposition and you see their starter is finished and you're just trying to finish your 3rd item, it's going to hurt and it's going to show through in the team fights. You don't have the tank stats. You don't do as much damage. You can't live as long. All of these things are going to start adding up. Listemics has just been all over the map right now, just making his presence known, and it looks like the tier 2 tower is next on the board. And no Phoenixes have been looked at yet by the Gilded Gladiators despite this massive gold lead.
And I'm looking at the side of the Gladiators right now as we get towards these, defenses. As Tier 2 is going to be foregone, but I'm looking at Rodwin right now, and he's sitting on a full Emperor's armor of his own. I mean, Trelly, at this point, if you're the Scorpions, I mean, what is your answer to getting one of these successful defenses up against the Gladiators?
Well, right now it looks like they are going for the 4-1 split, so they're going to have to try to win the numbers game, maybe look for a pick on Maskill if he goes in by himself. But Listemics, I think, realizes this and is going to rotate over. They're going to do the 2-3 split, double ADCs in the duo lane right now. So both Phoenixes are going to begin sieging at once, and I think you have to play the numbers game. Bring more to mid or more to left.
Well, right now the answer is none of the above. I mean, they're going to back French Emperor away from Maskill, who is just slowly shredding away through this mid lane. Phoenix, Sager will finally rotate over to make it a man's advantage on the side of the Scorpions with the help of Picarino. They'll be able to back them off of this mid lane. Phoenix with that left side one left to the double Hunters in the 3 versus 3. That's Supernova plus the Dharmic Pillars. Picarino is already gone for the fight. Toddy does find the Centaur shots in the back to take away Calvin, and Sager in the middle of 3 will be no more. It's a double kill for Sotos.
And it looks like Listemics is still trying to continue this dive. He can definitely solo Davey. If he hits the one, it's going to be a lot of damage, but Matt still blinks in. He's not going to let his solo laner get any kills. It's going to be a 1v5 Titan Siege, and I do not think that French Emperor has anywhere close to enough damage.
No ultimate up for the Bastet. That should be game number 2 going over to the Gladiators. Can they find French Emperor in the mix? He'll jump in, jump right back out, but that'll be the end of the line for the AARU Scorpions here in this first set of the EUSCC. This one will go with 2-0 to the Gilded Gladiators.
I mean, Soto's finished 8-2 and had such a pretty stat line, but I gotta give the MVP to this one to Listemics. That you don't amass such an XP lead, such a gold lead in that solo lane, and then just go make every carry in the game's life miserable. I mean, Listemics was an absolute force on this Cerberus, and he showed his presence all over the map.
I mean, it started that whole game out with a double kill over into the solo lane, both of those going on to Listemics, and from that point on, Listemics held no regard for any life form whatsoever. Anybody who walked in his lane said, no, This is my lane. If you want to step to it, you have to beat me. And nobody was able to. An impressive performance out of Listemics here in game number 2 from all of the Gilded Gladiators here as they were able to close this one out 2-0 and start their season off right. We're going to go ahead and take it to a quick break. When we come back, we'll break down that set and get you guys set up for the next one.
I forgot this was still us.
welcome back. Our first set of the day is now concluded with the Gilded Gladiators coming out on top with a 2-0 over the AARU Scorpions. A slower game one that led to a nice mass kill penta and then eventually leading to game one's victory. And now here in game number two, a little bit quicker pace as all the action started off over into that solo lane. Lestemic's able to get off to a nice tear earlier on, 2-0, a double kill for him. And from that point on, Trelly, I mean, Gilded Gladiators. You brought up the Gilded Arrow thing twice to me now, and now you got it stuck in my head.
Well, as long as they keep building Gilded Arrow, you're never have a problem. You always be right.
You know what? I wouldn't be wrong here, but Gilded Gladiators, a much stronger game number two, a much more quick-paced one out here. They'll get themselves off to a nice early lead, and then from that point on, I'll keep harping. I mean, from double kill onward, they never let off the gas.
Yeah, it seemed like the AARU Scorpions had a little bit of fire in the early first game. And then ever since then, it's sort of been just, I think they made the adjustments that they needed to, and then the Gilded Gladiators have had every sort of advantage they really needed here. French Emperor was trying to find some kills here and there. Obviously, Picorino did get a nice shutdown on the Sotos when he had the lead. But besides that, the Gilded Gladiators were just pretty much, they were brawling, and they were ahead.
And every single speed buff from like 8 minutes onward, it was mass kill at the speed buff here. French Emperor didn't really get much chance to breathe during this game, whether it be in these mid-fights, whether it be at his own buff here. Sotos able to live through a lot of these fights on this soul. I mean, this one was probably the more impressive one. He gets dove by both assassins throughout the entire time, lives through all of these veil tears that were thrown out by Sager, but still able to come out on top at the end.
Yeah, just so much healing, and obviously some great peel from Watwin, making sure that Shell and the Aegis go off at the same time. Just a little bit of extra HP, and then just the lifesteal was coming in clutch there. But Sotos on this soul pick, giving it to him twice, definitely a mistake here. He looked great on it once he got online in game one, and then obviously besides a few times when he was, getting a little bit of put out of position by Calvin, Sotos was pretty much unstoppable besides those two deaths.
Yeah, 8-2 and 3 on the mid lane soul. 6-3 and 7 here for Masked Kill himself here. Still top of the damage chart. Does go to Sotos this game. No surprise, though, the damage route that he was able to go through and put himself up there. Lestemic's soaking up a lot of that damage early on for the team. Obviously, in the solo, you're going to be getting a lot of that damage taken and damage mitigation stat padding out there. But impressive performance nonetheless here out of the Gilded Gladiators, coming from a game one deficit, and then from that point onward, it's been nothing but them throughout this set.
Yeah, and that's really what I was harping on there. Is they made so many adjustments. When you go with the same comp you just lost on, you're either saying like, hey, we have the adjustments to make this work, and or we realize what went wrong, that sort of thing. But the Gilded Gladiators, they knew how to shut down this Kleena. The Cerberus pick alone forced a different sort of build, not a lot of healing. The Kleena got so far behind in that regard, you can't really sit in lane. Now you're 5 levels behind, you can't make these huge rotations. I mean, it just seemed like the Gilded Gladiators, despite having a solid performance in game one, just looked even cleaner in game number two because they made the adjustments.
Yeah, and that's the adjustments that we were talking about during those picks and bans where, the side lanes, that the carry and the solo laner had to make an adjustment because their stuff either got banned away or got taken out there as far as game two is concerned, but it looked like it was even better for them. Let's take a look at the schedule, though, to see what we still have in store for you guys for the remainder of today, at least as far as the EU scene is, and the remainder of their week out here. 2-0 for the Gilded Gladiators, puts their first win on the board for the SCC. Next match up will be the Niflheim Wargs and the Styx Ferrymen will be taking place for the next EU set out there. And then tomorrow, on April 1st, we will have Highland Ravens up against Hex Mambo. And we look, we already talked about it with these logos and whatnot. These are some really sick logos for these teams.
Yeah, the Hex Mambo is definitely my favorite just
That's
out
a
of
nice
those ones. I mean, just look at them. It just looks so clean. I love just the whole overhaul that we've done for the SCC here. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be some exciting Smite the Ferrymen versus the Wargs. That's going to be an intense one. A lot of recognizable names on both sides of that roster, so you definitely do not want to miss that one.
Yeah, we definitely have a ton of talent between those. I mean, the Wargs with Sarpe and Kana coming over there, Angry. I mean, we have two massive amalgamations of so many different SCC teams just between those two alone. It's sure to be a great kickoff for those ones through. And then, like I said, for the other two teams that are going to be playing tomorrow, make sure you tune in tomorrow, Friday, in order to see that third SCC set. We got 4 SCC sets throughout the entirety today, sticking to the EU first, and then moving ourselves over into the NA side here. So we're going to take it to a quick break. When we come back, set number 2 of the SCC will be ready to go.